Hello. Let's stop that because that's mighty annoying. And stop sharing. Some of you may wonder why I'm doing it this time. It's the only time of the day lately that I'm not dead. And the clocks have gone forward. So would this mean it's actually 9 in the morning? I don't know. Lost. So yeah, I might do something later, but I do plan to go out. This is going to be just a bit of a chat, really. I'm going out with the daughter at lunchtime in a drive around in her car that she's bought that she's dead proud of. And it's quite nice because you get to chat. So that's good. Then after that, who knows? You know, if I wasn't dead later, I might do another one later on, get a few people on or whatever. Now, coming up in the future, we all know, or if we don't already know, I'm doing a live stream with, if everybody shows up, Pap, Paz, Base Welshman, Winston Smith, Luke Uncaged, Dave the Plant, oh God, fucking hell. Daniel Bostock. No, I'm leaving people out. It'll come to me in a bit. Anyway, worked out there'll be about 7 or 8. So I'm trying to work out how I'm going to mic it all up. By the way, I'm paying for all this, so don't worry. It's not asking for any money at all. So just listen, bear with. At the moment, I've got a Rodecaster. It's got 4 plugs in the back for 4 mics. And it's also got a Bluetooth function. It's got the headphone ports. And it's also got a little port for a phone. And then you get the noise come in from the computer and go into it. Now I'm thinking, how am I going to get 7 mics going? And there's a load of functions on this new Rodecaster that I need. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to buy, me, with my money that I'm working for, buy a new Rodecaster and a load of mics. And this Rodecaster plugs into the back. And then I'll be able to get us all on with all the different sound effects and all the different Bluetooth things linked up. And it's got a lot more functionality and all the rest of it. So I'm thinking, we'll have the table here. All the lads will be around the table. I'll still be able to run all this shit. And we're just going to, people will come and go, take it in turns. Some will be sat on the couch listening with headphones and probably shouting abuse. It's going to be a madass. But we're looking forward to that. And that's April the 14th, which is a Friday night, and April 15th, my birthday, Saturday night. There you go. So it'll be a laugh. What am I going to be then? 48. Oh, get on your fossil fuel. So that's that. Looking forward to that and getting organised. Then after that, we can save up for the old Capri. Right, back to what's going on at the moment. Base and I were looking at a real last-minute job of buggering off to Paris. But after we worked out that it was about 250 quid minimum to get there and back on a plane, it probably wouldn't get us in an airport anywhere near. And then we'd have hotels, airport travel and stuff like that. Money tight for him and me. We went, nah. Not just that. I looked at driving down there between 3 of us. Could have been done. But it's 8 and a bit hours travel there, 8 and a bit hours travel back, plus what goes on tour, wear and tear, and I've got gout. So driving for 8.5 hours in a manual is going to be painful there and back. So in the end, we said no. And lucky enough, I just said 48 years young. Luckily enough, this fuck all gone on. So there was no point anyway. But yeah, Base and I are looking to go on tour somewhere, anywhere. We were looking at Dublin, but I'm saving up for this weekend. After the April get together here, then pretty much the diary's clear. So we can start looking at, you know, maybe on the weekend buggering off to something. But I've got to get used to this job, to be honest. It's hard. It's the hardest job, hardest driving job I've ever had. There are other driving jobs that are more physically hard, but you're not driving anywhere near as much. So when you get out of the driver's seat, you might be pushing cages around or whatever, but it's, you know, this thing literally it's throwing you all over the cab for 4.5 hours at a time, constant. And yeah, then you got stress. Lots and lots of stress. You wouldn't think they'd be stressful in a tipper, but it is. Reasons. Stress that you don't want to break the truck because you're going into places that's easier to break the truck. Stress that the boss is on your back, he wants more done. Stress that you're trying not to speed, get nicked. I've done a video about this, but anyway, eczema everywhere, mate. That's the body telling me it's not happy, but you've got to earn. That's the way it goes. So that's work. So what's been going on lately? Well, Discord's quiet. That's nice. Telegram. Some of you may know that I had 2 Twitter accounts. So the second one, which is the smallest one, is Reverend Summer Sideways White Activist. And we've got the white activist page on Telegram because we all know at the moment there's a push towards hating on white people. So it's a case of pointing it out. It's not like go after either blacks or the Asians or go after anybody else with any other ilk. It's just to point out what's happening. And it's also to warn people that are not aware of it. There's a lot of naive people out there that, through no fault of their own, right? People are brought up to believe that everybody is generally nice until proven otherwise. But it seems that these days, not most people can be very unpleasant, when it suits. It's a very self-centered atmosphere out there. So it's warning people to be on your guard. Don't just assume that these people, whoever they are, black, white, or any other color, is on your side, because we're in mad times. So just to keep on your guard, and until somebody's proven to be a good egg, just be wary. That's all I'm saying. Right, Posey Parker. Some of you may have seen Kelly Jane Keane, both, isn't it? Now, some of you may have seen the footage. Mad. The actual state has gone after, I believe, from my little bit of understanding, that the state called her out as Nazi, right? And other ridiculous stuff like that, which is completely untrue. Now, I'm not overly keen on the title, and I'm no great fan of feminists. All right, we'll get onto that in a second. I mean, anything that says radical anything worries me a bit. Trans-exclusionary radical feminists. Okay. Now, I understand that women want the toilets for themselves. Although it wasn't like that when I was a kid, right? When we were in the nightclubs, there was always a queue a mile long for the girls' toilets. So they started piling into the boys 2 by 2. And we'd be sat there at the urinal, well, stood there at urinals as it was. If you sat, they'd be covered in piss. Well, we stood there having a piss, right? And the girls just pile in. You're like, all right, ladies. Fuck, it's a bit embarrassing, Not that embarrassing, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, we were wary of that. But to be honest, they did that by their choice. And I suppose in today's world, that might be frowned upon if they saw themselves as cis women. Now, there's another thing. If you go to the hospital locally to us, Bristol, I don't know what it's like in Western, when you sign in, you can't sign in as male or female. It has to be cis, or 87 other variants of whatever it is they've come up with this week, just so you know. But anyway, there it is. So she went out with her supporters. And by the way, even though I don't agree with the idea of feminism, I think it's actually been really destructive in the last 20 years. Originally, I get it. You want equal rights and you should have them. All right. I get it. You want the vote, whether that's actually work, because women predominantly speak. I mean, the women that are watching this won't agree because they're right leaning, but predominantly speaking, women are more likely to vote with their heart rather than their mind and vote to the left. So has that helped us? Possibly not. But nevertheless, if I have it, you should have it. Fucking God help us. But there it is. But I don't believe that you need radical feminism to give you equal rights. I think you've already got them anyway. And I think in some cases, what they're actually looking for, and that's not her, right, but maybe some of her followers and some feminists out there actually want the whip hand over men. But that's another thing. Now, do I agree with her being able to go anywhere and speak? Yes. So much so that I would offer my services to be a shield between her and the people that are trying to attack her. And it's not just me. There's a few other YouTubers that she probably wouldn't agree with, but believe in her right to speak that much that we would offer our services. That's how it is. But that's another thing. But that's the thing about freedom of speech. I mean, you want to be trans, that's your thing, right? Now, I've got some trans friends that are, they know where I stand on it. I know where they stand on it. They're pretty conservative in most other things, but they're trans. Fine. That's you. You do you. And they don't push what they are on anybody. It isn't about me trans. It's about my politics, actually. It's about the worry about what's happening to this country, the worry about the economy, the worry about what the government's doing, and all these other things. That's their predominant stance. And then we talk about trans because I'm interested, How does it affect your mental well-being before? How does it affect it after? How does it affect your health before? How does it affect it after? Because it isn't just all straight plain sailing. And this is something that when they sell trans to the kids, they're not actually being honest and say, well, you will have these ongoing health problems. All right. So there it is. But Posey Parker got attacked by a baying mob who were government, or when I say government run, they were wound up by the government and state media, right? Predominantly state media. And I truly believe that a lot of them who are there are paid to be there, in the same way that Antifa are paid their expenses and organized, and they have handlers and they have meeting places. They have also numbers to call if they get in bother. I believe exactly the same. And it was unfortunate that Posey didn't have a lot more security around her. And I mean a lot more, because unfortunately the way it went, she ended up getting out of there, and it gave them a victory, and they've been celebrating ever since, which is bollocks. What you need to do in situations like this, from my understanding of just doing a bit with Carl and with Tommy, which you send somebody in there who's anonymous before they scope the route in, they see who's there already, and they look around the areas, and they call back to you and they let you know what the state of play is, because you just wouldn't have sent her in there. You just wouldn't have done. And the stage would have been sterile, by the way. You wouldn't have had anybody on that stage that you couldn't vouch for and didn't know, and you hadn't actually checked. Open your coat up. What have you got underneath it? We had to. If anybody was carrying anything back when we were doing stuff, what is in there? Put it down. Get rid of it. You can't make me. I can do whatever the fuck I like, mate, because I'm bigger than you. That's how this shit works. All right? People won't like that, but that's just the way it is. My job was to stop him back there getting beaten up. However, getting the milkshake in was actually quite good for the clicks, if you like. It worked in his favor. Worked in Milo Yiannopoulos' favor, but there you go. And it turned out the bloke that we were with, that was allegedly ex-military, although I don't believe it very much now, was too busy looking at himself and how he was coming across and trying to talk to all the other people that he thought was high, and when he should have been looking out. And it was because of that Milo got milkshake. But that's another thing. We are not part. Well, we parted company shortly after that. It was one of those that I can't actually say that he was what he was, but he also talked a lot. But anyway, that's another story. If you are going to go out, you have to make sure that you've got numerous ways out of the place, and that you can secure the back of the stage so that nobody can come at you from that way. So then all you have to deal with is a circumference around you here, which is what we did when we were on tour, which is why we put the van in the way. Or the van got attacked and had its tires done, but that's metal. That can be replaced. So that was that. What she's going to do now, I don't know. It has elevated her on the stage, on the world stage. You know, it's raised her presence, if you want to call it that. So that worked. But given those, and I mean, these people that were coming out calling her a Nazi, how do you work that out exactly in your mentaloid head? But the other thing is, you cannot debate crazy. And a lot of these people have been turned from being, I don't know, just problematic. And I'm talking about straight people here, by the way, before anybody kicks off. There are people that have been brought up by people that didn't have a great deal of parenting. And these people brought up people to be radical free thinkers and had less parenting. Not all of them, some of them. And these people have gone out into the world, and there's no consequence to any of their actions. Nobody's actually, they've never got a good kick in. Now, while I don't condone violence, in the old days, generally speaking, when people went off the reservation as many times as these people did, nature brought them back onto the reservation with a huge wallop. That's the way it worked in the old days, but it doesn't happen now. So people think they're invincible and do more and more radical and stupid things because they're part of a cult. Now, many people who are on the left don't actually agree with the left. They just know they're a bigger group that are more vicious. So it's better to be in with them than actually against them because they're cowards. That's the way it works. The people that served Hitler back in the day, many of them were cowards. The actual generals towards the end were all yes men, which is why Hitler failed. Not that he should have won anyway. Many of you won't like me saying that. There was a lot of things that Hitler did prior to the war, right, that weren't all bad. There were a lot of things he did were awful, right? So, you know, but it seems like victory is written, or the victors write history, don't they? But if he'd not done a lot of the things that he had done, right, then I think history would have looked at him very different. But there it is. I mean, things like getting the world, getting his country back online and getting it working, building autobahns, things like that. He had rabid unions that he had to crush and stuff like that. I agree with that, but you do need some union. Anyway, that's enough of that, because as soon as I set up this white activist group, what happens? You get the idiots coming with the swastikas. Fucking retards. Get on, fuck off. I'm not interested. 1 second. I'm strange. I don't eat really hot food and I don't drink really warm drinks. So you have to wait for them to cool down a bit. But if they get too cool, they're minging, aren't they? Coffee. So there you go. So that was the Posey Parker thing. I wish that the next time she goes somewhere that her security is more. The guys that were there did a really good job, by the way. Just saying, they did a very good job. And she got out unhurt. So at the end of the day, it was a result in that respect. I don't think with the security she had, they could have done a lot more than they did. But there you go. So moving on from that, I saved a couple of stories. What else are we going to do? We're going to put a banner. Where is it? There you go. Pardon me. We'll put that up in case anybody at this time. We've only got 61 people watching, which tells me a lot of my subscribers are in bed and the rest of them ain't getting notified. As simple as that. The sun, always a source of entertainment. Oh, that's great. Right. I don't think you're going to be able to see this, but we'll put that over there and see if you can. Now, living off grid. Yeah, I get it. Hang on, let's see if we can get rid of that one there as well, because that's an extra page I don't need. Share. Yes, they look quite hippie, don't they? Now, living off grid. If you can do it, fine. Excellent. Don't know what the deal is with that kid. Looks a bit special, actually. Not kidding. I spent a day with the UK's most off-grid parents who brush teeth with liquor sticks and breastfeed kids until the age of 6. That shit is perverse. It's wrong. There is no need for a kid to be breastfed anywhere near that length of, and that's some freaky weird shit that the mum's got going on that she's enjoying. No other reason. There's no fucking reason that it should be the way. Oh God, they are fucking, I bet they smell. 2 barefoot girls running around the living room, petting their new puppy and excited, offering to show us of the chickens in the garden. Yeah, I can get that. While their brother sleeps in upstairs way past lunchtime. Hippie. Oh, Brighton. That says it all to me. Brighton is like the worst left-wing place. It makes Bristol look right-wing. This is Brighton, home of controversial couple, whatever. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, they are possibly the most left-wing couple, but the whole part of it was that she's breastfeeding her kids at 6, which I think is fucking mean. Bitty. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Bitty. So there you go. Right, so that's pretty mean. I'm not even going to get onto the rest of it, but they have a son, Ulysses. Really? I just can't read that shit. Sorry. What else have we got? Vaccine injury ramps up staff as claims over COVID jabs keep coming in. Yeah, well, we knew that was going to happen. So what else have we got? Rishi Sunak bans media from Conservative conference. Why would you do that? Is it because you're expecting your own people to heckle you? Is it because you're going to try and control the narrative? The only reason you would stop the media being there is because you don't want us to know something, although the media really only puts out whatever fits the narrative these days. I haven't seen much go out that I actually trust. Yeah, this is interesting. Let's see if I can show you over there. Oh, here we go. I don't want to claim that fucking offer. I don't want to. Right. Tudor Trust suspends, I should say, grant applications while staff learn about white supremacy. Fuck off. Really? Just shut up. You're a wanker. What you're actually trying to do is indoctrinate and put lies into the head of the stupid. One of the UK's richest charities, by the way, how much money goes to a charity and then how much actually makes it to where it's meant to be? How much do their bosses get in bonuses, etc., etc.? Charity is a way of taking money from kind, simple people and giving it to greedy fat cats. and a little bit might make it there. And what that little bit that does make it there, there's so much press coverage on it. We're doing a great job. Is when you take people who are left wing out to Africa, build wells, and then you go back 3 weeks later to see that they've taken all the shit that made the well and sold it for guns. That changed them to right wingers fairly quickly, and that's a person that I know personally. Anyway, so one of the UK's richest charities says that the work of its trustees is to become truly anti-racist, and it must pause its donations. And then we've got the picture of the guy. Hang on a minute, I'm not even showing this. Let's see if we can present this. There you go, George Floyd, the hero of the Black Rights Movement, the Black Lives Matter, the man that just literally, remember the pregnant woman and the gun and all that? Yeah, he was a true hero. Drug taking, drug dealing, horrible piece of shit that the media actually managed to make a hero out of. That is how the media take the piss out of you. Fucking amazing. One of Britain's largest charities will stop considering applications for grants so that its board members can learn about colonialism and becoming truly anti-racist. So you're going to stop all the anti-white racism, are you? What about when you look into all the slave trading by the blacks, or I don't know, the Barbary trade? Or why don't you go over to all the countries that aren't white and talk about the slave trade? And why don't you talk about the countries in, say, for instance, Eastern Europe that are literally sending people to work in places that are well below the minimum wage? When you talk about that, oh, you probably won't, because that's not fucking woke, is it, you cunt? The Tudor Trust, which has assets of nearly 300 million. Why would you have assets of that? That means that the money's made it nowhere near the people it was meant to. This is obviously what I was talking about. And awards about 20 million a year. So 20 million a year makes it there, and they've managed to accrue 300 million. Okay. A year to good causes announced that this week it will temporarily be halting awards granted to new applications so staff could better understand racism. Yeah. I tell you what, if you talk to them about the racism against white people, they would fucking scream at you. They'd lose their mind. They're so utterly twisted, mental. I mean, charities predominantly are full of lefty wankers anyway. They really are. These are the people that say, give us your money, like Bob fucking Geldof, that's a minted cunt, and he's telling the poor people to give money. What? Because you sung a fucking tune. And then if we actually talk about that tune, why don't we talk about half the people in there that were doing coke while they were doing it, and all these grifters, and half of them were fucking involved in shit they shouldn't. And mid-year, who did all the work in the background, you took all the credit for. You're some sort of wanker, Bob. We know that. Becomes the charity's trustees attend anti-racism workshops following the global Black Lives Matter protest in 2020, with the trust saying that it's time it had started a journey towards a better understanding of the history of racism, the inequity in perpetuated today, and how it can be dismantled. Tell you what, close your little organization, put the money out to where it was meant to be, go back, get a real job, stop grifting. There's a thought, just a thought. But yeah, so they're going to pause in the minds of the people within it. And when you get a business like this, because that's what it's not a charity anymore, it's a fucking business that makes this level of profit every year, you're going to have people in it that are so woke, they'll be screaming out to anybody who listens to them about how great they are. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I should imagine there'll be a Ukrainian flag in here somewhere. It has to. I mean, it's the thing, isn't it? But for me, these people are just bags of shit. Right. See that picture there? That one there. We had that woman, right, protesting us 3 years ago. She's a professional, right? And it was funny because she was next to some fat lump, right, white girl, who was shouting at us. And then when she started shouting, the fat lump looked over to her and stopped shouting because she was speaking, because the fat lump knew her position. And all of these people, they would come out and protest us. Then all of these would be dumped at the side of the road somewhere for their bloke to come and pick it up. But where they've been, all the rubbish that they left. And yet these are the ones that will also come out and protest about the climate, because, you know, they're not just one particular protester, they're all sorts. Fucking idiots. Absolute fucking idiots. Hang on, is that the one that got shot in the head in the end? Because if it wasn't, there's one that looked a fucking lot like her. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, isn't it amazing? Black Lives Matter. And yet, look what they do to each other. Something they're not reporting about at the moment in London is that black kids, black boys predominantly from the age of 14 to about 19 or 20, are being found hanging from trees. But they're not reporting on that. Is that the latest escalation in crime, violence? Instead of stabbing them, they hang them to set an example. I mean, I know that one of the things that they do is hang their shoes over phone lines to note where their area ends and where it finishes, which is different. But yeah, is this the latest, somebody did this to our group and this is the retribution? I don't know. So just stop oil. This has been out a couple of days. Let's put it there. Let's present. Britain's top lawyers say they will refuse to prosecute climate activists. Assholes. About 120 lawyers are set to sign a declaration of conscience stating that they will not prosecute groups like Extinction Rebellion, which tells me Extinction Rebellion have just been given a green light to go more hard, go extreme, to commit more crime and walk away scot-free. I mean, middle class, useless fucking idiots that actually haven't got a clue, because half of their green stuff takes more energy, causes more of a carbon footprint than, it's amazing. The whole lot of it is just utter bullshit. Oh, I can't see that because I haven't subscribed to the Telegraph. It's amazing how many people will come out and prosecute somebody, say, for instance, like me or like you, because we are going against the thing. Anybody who stands up for conservatism now is an evil man or woman. You can't even say that. Cis white, whatever. You get the idea. So for me, you got other colors that don't like us. Some, not all, right? Because it's like anything. There's good and bad in all sorts. So it's not the individual, it's the group. So there are groups of people from different religions, different cultures that don't like us. You've got our own government, which looks at traditionalists like ourselves and doesn't like us. You have the far left that don't like us. You have the very far right that don't like us. Yeah, you have the feminists that don't like straight white males. Some of them, not all of them. All right. But the group of people that don't like us, and then you've got all the people around the world that our governments and our countries have gone into and fucked over in the past that don't particularly like us as well. It's a bit of a precarious position to be in at the moment. Straight, cis, white, pale, stale male. So that's great. So, yeah. Somebody said to me, what are we going to do in the future? I said, well, I don't know. It really depends on how bad it gets. If it gets to the stage where we're actively being attacked physically, because it's getting to the stage where some of you have seen the videos that the colored youths are coming out and battering little white kids and enjoying it, right? As this takes off, because this stuff is staying up on social media. Why? If it was the other way around, it would be stopped. You wouldn't be able to see it. So it's encouraging it. But why? Who's encouraging it? Who's behind it? Who wants it? Who wants a race war? Because that's what this is trying to perpetuate. Nobody normal, nobody in their right mind would want a race war between, say, for instance, whites and any other group. Nobody does. It's ridiculous. People will get hurt. People would get killed. Property and other stuff would be destroyed. It would be the worst possible case. Nobody wants it. But somebody, somewhere, that controls the narrative, controls media and all the rest of it, is pushing to make one group the bad guys and the other group the good guys and the victims. And it's not true. So who is doing it? Now, I know China have hated capitalism and wanted, like others before them, wanted to reset the system, change it, collapse our system as it is right now and set up something new. Now we know we've got like a credit scoring system or social credit scoring system coming in. We have a call. Hello.
Hello, Simon.
How you doing, mate?
How are you doing, Donkey?
All right, Donkey. Living the dream yourself.
I'm okay, mate. Just caught your live stream this morning. I'll be honest, I'm finding it seems like more and more people are waking up.
Yeah.
In the circles are moving, I'm finding that I can actually talk a bit more open.
You have to initiate the conversation, but when you do, they open up quite quickly, don't they?
You do, yeah.
I've noticed that. I went to the petrol station and there was a young and old person, right? And the old lady was trying to get the number plate and I couldn't see it from there. And the young girl called it out. She was 18. I said, you know, my voice has changed. I'm in touch with my feminine side. And then we got onto that conversation. And it turns out that she's against all of this weird wokery, right? And she has to go out and help her male friends to fix their cars, much like my daughter does. But when we got onto it, all of this mad stuff, they're against. Now, these are complete strangers that you can talk to, but like you, I don't know how you're finding it. Everybody I approach and talk to, I would say about 90% are on board, and the others just shit themselves and don't want to talk at all.
Yeah. Now, one thing I have seen, I did post it up in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Have you watched that animated short yet, Beyond the Reset?
Animated what?
Short. It's on YouTube. It's 25 minutes long, called Beyond the Reset.
Right. No.
It's gaining traction. It's doubled its views in the past couple of days. It's up, I think last night it was up to 14,000.
Right.
It's strong, mate. It's very strong, very powerful, and it needs to be got out more.
Right, there will be a link to Discord, by the way. If anybody wants to go in, because there's a lot of news stories on my Discord. There's a lot also on my my Telegram. I've got 3 groups on Telegram. I've got a prepping channel, just for those that are interested. I've got the Rev White Activist, and I've got the main Reverend Simon Sideways channel where I post news in. But if you want to be able to post news to me, you can either post it in the Church of the Opposite Lot, which is my Discord channel, or you can go into my Telegram White Activist group and post news to me there. So this video that you're talking about is 25 minutes long. What does it describe?
It's a dystopian future. It covers everything. Like it doesn't mention it directly, but everybody's living in these bloody buildings where you basically got one room and this and that. Everybody's paid a universal basic income. All their money's taken away when they get paid the universal basic income, and what is left only has a 7-day lifespan. There's a central bank digital currency.
So evaporating money, that is, if you don't spend it in a week, it's gone. You can't build up any funds.
It covers lots of things. It sort of starts off with something of unknown origin, and goes on and on. But covers things like, they're cutting down rainforests to put solar farms in, and stuff like that, because they emit CO2. So we're going to cut them down. Yeah, but in the day they absorb them. You know what I mean?
They are trying to kill us off now. I'm 100% sure of it. Right? They hate us. The world population is increasing, right? But there are parts of Western population where the population that's increasing the most isn't the white people, right? Now, here's a thought. Yeah. If we left Africa and India to their own devices, never got involved again, right? You would find that they would decline, and in the end, they would eventually head back to where they were. I think that we should just focus on ourselves over here, and we do. If we keep overpopulating, that's a bad idea. But I know a lot of people that only had one kid or didn't have kids, right? Yeah. So in the old days, they used to have 8 kids. So what's going on?
Well, that's the thing. Me and my wife, it was 5 years. We were married 5 years before we decided to have a child. Mm-hmm. It took us another 5 years, So we're older parents, and then my wife ended up pregnant on the bounce 3 years on the trot, but lost one of them, unfortunately. So we've got two.
Right.
But I was on with my mate. I've got my best mate George. He's totally on board with all of this. I said to him the other day, I said, have you ever seen the video of the mice plague in Australia?
Was it the mice or the rabbit plague?
Well, there's both. There's been a rabbit plague in the past. The most recent one was a mouse plague.
Right.
And that's what it's going to be like here.
Well, what did they do with the rabbit plague? They set up Mixie.
Yeah.
What are they doing now? I mean, anything that comes out of a laboratory, right, in a country with low morals or ethics, right? So Wuhan, or how many of these dodgy laboratories were over in the Ukraine?
Yeah. Well, Biden was involved in that, wasn't he? Young Biden.
Yeah. So anywhere that's got no ethics, you can pay them an amount of money and they will do whatever. And yeah, I still believe that things will be released that will harm us. There's many people walking around with that stuff in them now that they don't know how long they've got left.
And you got the government handing big chunk of our sovereignty over to the World Health Organization.
Mm-hmm. Look at Klaus Schwab. His dad apparently, allegedly, I'll use, was the what you might have called a commandant of a camp. It wasn't called commandant, but he had a forced labor camp, and he was awarded by those people with a funny symbol. He was awarded an award by them for the efficient running of said camp. Interesting. These people have a really, really dark history, and yeah, I just don't get it. There is enough for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed out there, right? That was said by a wise African Indian man, I should say. But anyway, why is it the globalists? They've got so much, and yet they want much, much more. How much is enough?
It's all about power for them.
Yeah.
They've the money, yeah. They've got the power in their little enclave, be it Microsoft or I know we stepped down. And don't get me wrong, right? I'm not being. I work in IT. I do Windows databases. It's paid me mortgage for the past 20 odd years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But they just look at all this with, kids and stuff like that. They've just got so much. They're corrupted. They just don't realise what their boundaries are, and they're just going out and, be it power, be it control, be it,
but
children.
Like you say, there's never enough. If they've got the power to do this, they want more power to do that. They've all fundamentally mentally ill, right?
Yeah.
Psychopaths, as somebody said here, right? Ken said, their level of psychopathy is frightening. And the one thing that they do also have is no empathy. They actually are more sadistic. They enjoy the misery that they inflict.
Yeah.
They'll be the sort of kids that as kids probably got a magnifying glass on fucking things and burnt it in the sun, those type. The ones that would kick dogs and cats and shit like that. Horrible bastards.
Do you know how Bill Gates got started?
Making computers and then viruses for computers.
No, how he actually got started. He stole somebody else's work, changed the drive letter, and got it taken on. Yeah,
but he's you only got to look at him. He's one of these autists with absolutely no feelings for anybody else. No. And have you ever seen him when he's being questioned and he's on the spot? He'll rock like they do, right? But I can't stand the guy. And if you'd have looked at him as a kid, they'd have taken the piss out of him for being a weedy little twat. And in the old days, people like that didn't get very far because they were not very nice personality, horribly they were just cunts and nobody liked them, right? And at school, they got a good hiding, right? And they fucked off out of it and let the normal people get on. It's amazing how society, when it goes back to its primal roots, weeds out wankers like that.
Yeah, well, Darwinism's gone.
It'll come back.
Well, we can but hope.
When the law and order breaks down and the money fucks off, all of a sudden Darwinism will be there.
Yeah.
When the benefits, because I mean, so many strong and independent people that live on benefits, right? Some of them through no fault, and this is the important thing, right? When I talk about the people that are on benefits, there's two types. There's the people that should be on benefits because they deserve it, they need it, they're ill or whatever, the very thing that the benefit system is set up from. And then you've got other people that consider the benefit system to be a career. All right,
yeah,
I'm going to go out and get myself knocked up, right? And I'll get a house out of it, or the other types, right? And there were people in certain areas that just had no intention of ever working. Then there are people that are just, you know, the types. So there's two types. There's the people that need it, and then the people that fucking just take off it, right? I've got no time at all for idle bastards. But also, I understand people that don't want to pay tax, because when your tax goes towards a government who spend it on people who hate you, that's kind of a bit of a slap in the face.
Well, I'll go back. I was freelance for quite a number of years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Travelled around the country, around Europe, doing my job. Yeah. Actually, 4 years ago, I actually got offered a job with Microsoft, but it fell through.
Yeah.
And because of that, yeah, I didn't pay all the tax. I was able to offset tax, travel costs, hotels, yada, yada, yada. And because of that, I could have claimed working families tax credits. Could have. In fact, I've got a mate who's now he's self-employed. He earns a decent money. He's just bought an electric car. He's just thinking, whatever. And he's getting 3 solar panels installed on his house because on paper he earns under the limit.
Mm.
But I'd never have done anything like that. I wish it had now. Looking back, I wish it bloody had. But at the time, I could have been claiming working families tax credits, and I'd more than likely be tens, 20s, 30s of thousands of pounds richer now.
I claimed unemployment benefit and rent for a very short while around, is it 2010? Yeah, for a few weeks, literally. That's the last time. And at the time, just when I tried to over Christmas try and claim something, it was basically fuck off. You had to wait 5 weeks before you got the basic, which was £60 a week, whatever. Couldn't backdate the rent. And I thought to myself, I'm having to go begging here. And I've paid into the system all my fucking life. So I told them to fuck off. What was the words I used? I would rather be broke and hungry than lose my sense of fucking self-worth and just embarrass myself. And they closed the claim straight away. No questions asked. Not, are you mentally ill, or are you struggling, or what's the matter? It was like, fuck you. Wrong color, wrong person. Right? And that's it. So I hate the system with a passion.
Benefits and living at the YMCA in 1984. Yeah?
Mm.
I was officially homeless, if you get my meaning.
Yep.
Then I joined up, done 4 years in the army, left the army, I signed on for a week.
Yeah.
Got a job, casual labour.
It was easy to sign on back in the 90s and the late 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You went in, you sat in front of some fucking soulless creature, give me your details, right? And they give you out that UB40 and you're fucked off pretty much.
Yeah. And then, on that casual labour work, after the first week, I was getting work every day.
Yep.
And meanwhile, I applied for the Air Force and got in the Air Force in a technical job, and that's it. But I've worked bloody hard for it.
Mm.
I used to do 14-hour day, 1 day a week to go to college in Reading. I lived in the wilds of Oxfordshire.
Right.
Going to college in Reading, 9 till 7, 1 day a week. We were doing like 3 days worth of work in one to get my HMC. Bang, bang, bang.
What was that? What did HMC stand for? Higher
National Certificate.
HNC, right? Yeah.
And then you've got the next one up, which is HND, Higher National Degree.
Degree. Okay, yeah.
But you can't do them now. There's no tech colleges anymore.
Yeah. Do you know, I did the YTS and it was known as Young, Thick and Stupid. I was on £29.50 or something a week, and then I had to pay £15 to my mum a week in rent, and I had to buy tools out of that. Cheers.
Yeah. I was YTS, £25 a week when I left school.
Shit, wasn't it?
You know,
slave fucking labour.
But it was, but it gave you a chance. You know, I'll be honest, my eldest lad, he's really suffered with lockdown. He was going through sixth form at the time, got totally disengaged. He ended up sitting a year again of sixth form and still came away with nothing. The school didn't support him because he's not of a
of a certain ilk.
Yeah. You know, he's now working at Morrison's. You know, he wants it. I'll be honest. I know you do the esports, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you do the sim racing or sim driving.
That thing over there, yeah.
Yeah, my lad was the DHL fastest lap at Silverstone in 2018. He was really good at esports. He
could have made a YouTube channel out of it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, he won't. He's not that type.
No.
He's very quiet. He's very unassuming. He's very. I'm sat there. He's actually got £1,000 worth of equipment sat in his room. That's just the wheel and pedals that he's not using now. He's jacked it in, and he was the DHL fastest lap at Silverstone. He was raced with F2 drivers He's raced with F2 drivers down at Silverstone. He beat professional esporters that do the F1 esports. In fact, he's going to the Nürburgring in just over a month, and he's one of the guys he's going with is an F1 esporter.
I'm fast on that when I haven't got gout. I got the gout at the moment, and it hurts because if you don't get it right and you hit the brake pedal with the corner of because you've got your big toe, that part there, I twatted it and it's sharp and it went straight, and I was like, oh God, I've got to look into. I'm not going to take gout medicine, but you know when you get the gout, the thing that calms it down, I might look into that but yeah, this is physical when you're going flat out. But I need to change the steering wheel because that was for the beginners. And we've moved on a bit now. But the amount of force feedback it gives you do work quite hard, and you're changing lock 3 or 4 times a second. Not just that, you're dancing all over the pedals, brake, accelerator, and then you've got clutch, brake, and accelerator like that. So you're using your toe and your heel. Keeps you fit. But not that fit, obviously, because I'm still a fat cunt, but whatever. I don't get that as well. You lose weight and look worse.
I've actually got an official diagnosis for what I suffer from, and that's dwarfism, apparently.
Dwarfism?
Dwarfism. I'm too short for weight.
Oh, fuck it. I mean, I got up to 18 stone when I was doing this, and then I went down to, what did I get down to? 14 and a half. Probably not great. Then I went to 15. Then I went to 16. Then I got to 16 and a half. And now I'm back to 15 and 3/4, but I feel fatter and I've lost a quarter of a stone. I don't get it. Whatever. I don't get it anymore anyway. Gout is fucking painful. Gout hurts as much as a broken bone when you've got proper gout. But I've got ingrown toenails as well. So when you get one of those, right, on the big toe, right, and you get gout at the same time, fucking yes. You try to get your work boot on, which is a steel toe cap boot in the morning. Oh, that's some pain, that is. Fuck that. I'm not getting any younger, nor is anybody else here, and that's the fucking upsetting thing.
I'm not 55, but yeah, I said that. But yeah, my eldest lad, he had his, a future. He wanted to go into engineering. He wanted to go into F1, working in. He did get an interview for Alpine, but never heard anything back. He's now applied to BAE. They've got apprenticeships going, and he's prepared to go and live wherever to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I paid in to a children's trust fund for him. He's been able to buy himself an MX-5 little 2-wheeler sports car.
Yeah,
which is quite funny because
that's what they were used for drifting, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a MX-5 when I met his mother out in Cyprus when I was stationed out there.
Not the best car for dating, if you know what I mean.
No, actually, the Mark 1, they had a nice rear parcel shelf that could be used.
I see. Excellent work. Yes. Yes. The Capri rear spoiler on a summer's night. You sit there, lovely. You put your feet in the bumper. Thank you very much. But I mean, with a Capri, somebody said, "Oh yeah, passenger seat was great, but only when you're thin." I've put on a lot of meat now. I tell you what, I couldn't get a love life going on in a Capri. It'd be fucking abysmal. Really awful.
I'd end up in hospital if I tried it.
I just look at it and I go, nah. Just fuck no. But I'd say, oh, fuck it. I don't know about you. The thought of it now, look at the dating sites. It's like Lefty, Nutter, Self-Absorbed, Mad Eyes, all the latest trout pout poses, more fucking, what do they call it? More filters than fuck knows what.
I've been with my wife for 30 years coming up next month. We met 30 years in May.
Mm-hmm.
And next April, we've been married 30 years. And she's the best wife I've ever had. And I wouldn't swap her for anything. I'd gladly go away for freedom.
My first missus, the daughter's mother, we are friends. You know, she'd help out if I needed any help. And we'll go out for a meal occasionally and just have the crack and have the chat and that kind of stuff. She's a lovely woman. She was trying to control me when I was younger, but to be honest, I fucking needed it. And I was trying to fight against that control because I was a little wild one, right? Had I have met her at a later date, maybe things would be different, but I wasn't very grown up back then, and she was a lot more grown up than I was. I was a twat. So anyway.
Anyway, I'm going to go off now, and I'm going to go and shoot some clay discs in the sky.
I would.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, keep the practice up. You never know when you'll need it. And yes. Well, it's lovely having a chat, mate.
Oh, that was another thing. Just one more thing as well. We've had, I was quite surprised to have bumped into here, but one of our local hotels is up for becoming a Migrant Central.
Ah, brilliant.
And do you know he said the other week about that hotel in Bristol that's got planning application in for the car park?
Hang on a minute. Is that on the A38?
Well, you just mentioned at the end of one of your streams.
Yeah, I'm going past. There's more than planning permission. They've already dug the fucker up.
Well, what this hotel's doing was 30-odd rooms, 150 inside the hotel, and then a further 250 in modular accommodation on the car parks.
That's what they're fucking doing at this car park then, right? Got the A38 towards the Bristol airport, right?
Yeah.
And it's on the left-hand side if you're going towards the Bristol airport from, I don't know, Taunton direction or whatever. They're on the left, and I thought, why would you dig up the car park? And I thought to myself, they don't have cars. They don't need it. And I know exactly what they're doing. They're putting modular stuff up, like you said, right? They can stay there because they're contracted for 5 years, aren't they?
Yeah.
And whatever they're charging them. And the locals, I mean, these people, a lot of them are banned from the bus, or a lot of buses won't pick them up now. But I got video footage, which is also on my Telegram, which obviously you can go and subscribe to whoever it is, right? And it's got Northern Ireland, where they were just beating each other up from these.
That was horrible. That I've seen the video you put on Facebook.
They've stabbed one up now, and he's died, right? Because the problem is, there's two different types of Muslim that don't get on with each other, and they're putting them in the same fucking place. What do they think is going to happen? That would be like. Do you remember the Maze prison back in the day, right?
Yeah.
You had the Maze prison. One side of it, you had loyalists, and the other side, you had the provos, right? It'd be like taking the fences away. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, it is. It's madness. But as I said, I've seen that video, that young lad screaming like that in terror. You know, because he wasn't a little lad. He was quite stocky in that. But... you know, something like that happening, that was absolutely horrifying. I nearly cried when I said that. Because, you know, being a dad, you think, God, if that happened to one of my kids.
Yep.
You know.
I have footage shown to me of a black guy hanging from a tree, and I couldn't put it out there. I just thought it was it's not dignified. That's somebody's kid. So I just didn't put it out, but it's horrible.
They're not human. They don't class us as human.
Right, they're feral.
Yeah.
We have to teach our kids not to be feral. When they're born, they're feral, right? All kids are generally like that. So they have to look to the people that are raising them to copy, to follow, for advice, for discipline, for structure, for everything else. Somebody pointed out to me the other day that in the wild, the average animal within a few days can be up and walking about and starting to feed itself, that kind of thing, right? Whereas our lot have to hang around us for months, years. So,
Yeah.
And in that time, you have to teach it everything that you've been taught by your parents. But unfortunately, over the years, the discipline and all the rest of it loses a bit every generation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what we've got now, in some cases, is people who weren't that well brought up, their fucking folk weren't that well brought up, that have also been radicalized. They've believed all the stuff they've told. And what they're bringing up is totally, these kids have have had shit parenting, and they're turned out to be little lunatics that have joined a gang because that's the safest thing they could do rather than be on their own out there. So it's just fucked. All of these kids, right, need to be dragged off the street, okay, and chucked in the army.
National service.
Knock the
or some type of
fuck
citizen
out of them.
service.
You are not black. You are not white. You are not male. You are not female. You are nothing more than pieces of meat.
Done it. You know, what joined up.
Exactly that. And it teaches you timing, discipline, respect, honor for your friends, you know, camaraderie, and obviously all the other bits and bobs that it teaches you. But, you know, many people who, if they hadn't have had that, would be a lot worse off. All right, it fucked a lot of people as well, because if you send them into a warfare and they see all that shit and then they come back and you don't help them, then that's bad too. But, I mean, within 2 years of national service, they might not even actually see any war at all, but it would have knocked all the edges off them. But you'd need drill instructors that aren't afraid to beat the shit out of them.
They don't get it at school now.
No. Well, that's where it started, isn't it? When you had a teacher, we used to get the board, we had the chalk thrown at us and he'd miss. And that'd infuriate him. So he'd fucking throw the board rubber at me as well. And then you had to get both and send them back.
The cane as well.
Yeah, I just dodged that one. Luckily.
No, didn't you? Well, I didn't. But it does, you know, it's that discipline. You know, I will be honest, our eldest, he's not woke, he's not whatever. Our youngest, never been able to parent them. It has been impossible.
Well, yeah, because you'll go to prison for it if you try it, and they know it. I remember one day I said to my parents, I'll call Childline. They said, cool, and then we'll be gotten rid of you, and you can go fucking live with somebody else. And I was like, okay, call me there.
You're just going to be cutting over to the car in a second.
Well, look, we'll get off and see if anybody else wants to call in. I think we've gone over to the car. Cool. Yeah, I'll say what we'll do is we'll jump off and see if anybody else wants to come on.
Just a sec. It's gone bloody funny.
We'll cut them off for a minute and then you can call back later in case anybody else wants to ring in. We now have 100 people watching. So that's interesting enough. There's the number if you want it. What else have we got here? Oh, there you go. Apparently Huggies have got paedophile pictures on their stuff. Let's see who this is. Hello.
Hello, sorry about that.
No, it's me that cut you off. It wasn't you that cut off, but I know you couldn't hear me, so I thought, well, we'll see if there's anybody else that wants to ring in. But there wasn't, funnily enough. So
there wasn't.
It's clearly too early in the morning, and not just that. How many people are getting my notifications at the moment? Very few.
I didn't. I just got out the shower and was flicking on YouTube while I was getting dressed.
Yeah, no. Most people aren't getting my notifications. Even the people closest to me are saying, "Look, I'm not getting anything at the moment." I put out, what was it? I was putting out on both, usually at least one video a day on each channel, possibly two, right? And possibly a short. And the only way that Jude, my mate, was getting any notifications was going over to my Discord, which it uploads straight away to, so you can go in there and you can see when I've loaded up. That's the only way she was finding out, which is why I say go over to Discord, join Discord, and you will get notified, because why are they doing what they're doing? I don't know. I've gone past giving a shit, if I'm honest. So, yeah.
It was like that video I said, that short animation.
Mm-hmm.
That has been up for 3 weeks, and it hardly, when I watched it, it got 6,000. 2 days later, it got 14. I'd shared it with everybody that I felt safe sharing it with. If you know what I mean. Because I work in a woke organisation. Last month I had to sit there with the LGBTQ plus desktop staring at me.
Nice.
You know, can't say anything. There's that fella who took a sign down at work, didn't he, and got sacked.
Yeah.
For it because he didn't. He was a Christian, didn't agree with it. But you can't say anything.
No, it's a cult. You will fucking like it, or we'll break you.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that. We've got me and my wife. We've got very good friends, Ian and Mike. Right? They're married. Cracking laugh. Get on with them like anything. We've just been supporting them. They lost a dog the other week. Old Susie and that, but they've now got a new puppy. And the cracking fellas. So we're not homophobes. We're not, they're drag artists. One of them's ex-forces.
It is amazing just how many manly men are coming out as wanting to dress up as women. I was on a dating site and one of the women's profile says, no cross-dressers. And I said, well, is this a thing? She went, yes, it is. They want to go shopping with you for clothes and then they want to dress up secretly behind closed doors. I'm like, fuck that. I don't get it.
But it's their choice.
I still don't get it. Fuck that. Just men be men. Just
yeah. But I said the world is just gone absolutely mad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to wrap up now and may well do one later if we can get some people on.
Okay.
And then we can all have a chat amongst ourselves because I know this is just definitely, it's still 10, 20 in the morning, isn't it? For most people, I think. Yeah. Well, this is the problem when you wake up at 4 o'clock every bastard morning, whether you want it or not.
Well, my dad was an HGV driver all his life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left the army, joined the Air Force, I was actually working for Sutton's Haulage. Doing the Guinness contract, second manning on the lorries, and I could be up at 3:30, going off up to the lakes, to Barrow, delivering Guinness kegs.
Nice. That was back when you could actually have a drink at a pub on the way around.
Well, we used to deliver to Greenhalls and Allied in Warrington, and they had pump rooms. And if you wanted, you could be supping at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, right, totally. Right, well, look, I'm going to go over onto Discord now for a chat. So if any of you want to meet me there, the link should be in the description. By the way, it's Brody's birthday. So if everybody could put happy birthday in the comments for Brody, the fossil. Okay, he's actually younger than me, the prick. He's the one that helps out on Discord. So happy birthday to the festering old git. I shall wind this up. Birthday boy, could you put a link to Discord back in the chat? And go away, mate. No, I won't go away just yet. I might hang around for a little bit more. Anyway, no, seriously, I'm going to knock it on the head. So cheers to you, buddy, if you want to call in later.
Okay.
And I'll catch you in a bit. All right, bub?
I'll speak to you again, Donkey.
All right, Donkey.
You know why I call you Donkey, don't you?
Yeah, Donkey's on the beach.
No, Donkey's in the fucking field by looking.
Oh, right, yeah. That was ours. It used to keep you awake. Yeah, my pleasure.
Cheers, mate.
See you in a bit, mate. Bye-bye. Yeah, we used to have donkeys in different places in Weston, obviously, because they're on the beach. And yeah, they did make a bit of noise. Where's the rallying flag, Rev? Rallying flag? Don't know. Right, so anyway, cheers, Brode. That is the link. I'm going over to Discord now, and we'll probably have a chat in there. And I should imagine Peachy may well join us if she's in the chat anyway. And I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll speak to you possibly later. I may even treat myself to a drink. I don't know yet. I've been very good. So, but I'm going out with the daughter, so she doesn't drink, so I probably won't. Who knows? But it makes it hard to do live streams sober. It just does. I don't know why. I used to enjoy having a drink with you lot, but as I'm watching out for my health and being a good boy, it is what it is. Anyway, I'll catch you a little bit later on. Maybe when I've got the hang of doing this job and my body's back into some somewhat more shape, I will be able to do more on a weekend. But anyway, there it is. I'll